Greetings, infinite blessings, and welcome to another moment of now and another episode of modern day mindfulness. My name is Kain, the Cosmic Surfer, and it is my passion, purpose and privilege to inspire you to empower yourself. Poor me, I wish that thing in the past didn't happen. I wish that person didn't do that thing to me, or I wish I didn't do that thing to that other person. Poor me, I wish reality wasn't as it is. When did that ever do anybody any good? Trying to actually deny reality as it is, trying to deny the fact that as well as the sun shining, that the rain falls. Today's episode of Modern Day Mindfulness, I'm going to tell you all the information, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to gift you everything you need to break yourself free from limitations and pains of the past. Traumatic experiences of old, if you try to actually deny them without acceptance, full acceptance in every way, and ownership, which will be the topic of next week's episode, then you'll never be fully or completely happy in life. So, as I said last week, today actually is episode number 4. And again, I am sat in my garden recording it because I am still not allowed to go outside. I went away on holiday to Turkey, and whilst I was there, Floppy Hair said that it was now on the quarantine list, so I've quarantined when I've come home. This is a freedom of choice. I accept this, as it is the crucial aspect of everything we do. I accept it, and I've made the decision to stay indoors, not because of government laws, not because of any other reason other than it is most beneficial to those around me. Is most beneficial to myself, and is most beneficial to the collective. Laws, rules or guidelines are there to give you a guideline. It's just a way that we can live if we choose to, but it's all a choice. And anytime you give away your ownership or creatorship of a choice, you fall into victim mode. But in truth, you've created that for yourself as well. So as I've said, the next few weeks will be based around the 5 steps to freedom course that we've created, with the first 2 steps being acknowledgement and then acceptance. Picture yourself on a journey through life. You have a destination that you're traveling towards, and every event leading you there is information that you're able to gain and add to your tool belt so that you can utilize it and use it when required going forwards. If an event of old takes place, has taken place, somebody's wronged you in the past. Or, actually for acknowledgement, let's use the story of you doing wrong to another person. Okay. In a relationship, all relationships, including the one with yourself, are based and built on compromise. This includes the relationship between your higher self and your egoic self, as well as all aspects of self, as well as every relationship around yourself. You compromise to allow for each person, each element of that relationship to gain what they require from it. If one person is always giving, the other is always taking, it will eventually come to an end when the person that is continuously giving gets tired of giving, or becomes too drained to give and actually almost implodes, goes into darkness. So in a relationship, if it comes to an end, unless both parties, both sides acknowledge the fact that they had an input, that they must take ownership. They had a situational impact in that decision going forwards. Everything in your life, no matter how far away from it may seem, is your creation. You are a created being in all ways. You've come here to learn certain things, and unless you accept what has taken place, you will never be able to go forwards with a complete picture of what was taking place in the past to allow you the most beneficial conclusion of the past to then use going forwards in the future. Okay? Acknowledgement is the first step. And the way I was shown it in the past was just a journey, walking upon a path. Masculine, as a masculine energy, as a man, I embody more masculine than I do feminine. Because of certain learnings in the past, I was very masculine in my ability to protect and to look after my mother when I was growing up. And then I had that masculinity repressed and I hid it for a very long period of time because of the dominant masculinity that my father projected on me and the desire to overpower me, to control me, to use me as a source of energy, to feed from me. This has all been part of my journey. I accept and acknowledge my part in it all, as all events of old, and I'm actually grateful for every experience of old. I love each and every person that I have had an interaction with. Those which have wronged me have given me the greatest learnings. This is the truth. This is the knowledge. This is the wisdom, the light, and the way. So on a journey, going forwards, if you're walking down a path and there is something blocking that path, let's say a tree's fallen over and is blocking the path forward, unless you acknowledge the fact that there is a tree blocking your path, you will not be able to then stop and decide how to best move around it, how to overcome that obstacle. If you become very rigid on only reaching the destination that you're going towards, with the limitation of everything else around you or in front of you or behind you, no, I'm going here, I'm going to achieve this, no matter what, that's my only focus. Not only do you miss the enjoyment in the journey, missing the small things along the way. If you travel with a single focus of attention, rushing through life, then you miss the small and beautiful elements in it. Like driving to work. You rush in a car, everything's a blur, and you're focused on getting to work. The actual journey there is only about getting there, and you miss the enjoyment in the journey. If you were to walk, giving yourself ample time to get there so that you know that you are free to do whatever you desire in that moment of now, you may stop at one point and actually bend down to look at a beautiful wild flower that is growing out of the cracks in the otherwise concrete jungle. It may remind you of the beauty and the potential for life to not only survive but thrive in conditions that are incredibly harsh and that you would otherwise think there would not be any life. This is the small changes that you can implement now that will lead you down a path of pure wonderment and joy, to slow down a little bit more and to actually acknowledge everything that you come into contact with, every event of old as well as that you will experience going forward in this eternal moment of now. So if you deny it, you will only become stuck by it. If you stay too masculine and with only a focus on the final destination, you will just walk into that tree repetitively, continuing that same learning or that same challenge over and over again until you overcome it. Masculinity as an energy likes to set a destination, a direction, and to travel upon it. It likes to know everything is controlled, neat, and manageable. It is the way that society is now, but it is quite clear to see that only having a dominant masculinity, energetically and globally, actually removes the ability to enjoy life, takes away that feeling of freedom, of expansion, of liberation, of love. It's the feminine qualities, through acknowledgement of what is, to start with. You acknowledge the tree is there, and then you joyfully skip around it or over it with that feminine quality. You create something within yourself, within your mind, to then externalize. You decide the best way to overcome that obstacle by creating it and then manifesting it so in the physical. A single thought within your mind is the start of actually achieving it or experiencing it outside yourself. A thought leads to an action over time leads to a habit. The habits which you embody create the character or the principles of the character that you play in this game we call life. And the character you play will walk a path within a certain parameter towards a certain destination. Character of victimhood, of lack, of limitation will never walk a path of abundance. It is vibrationally impossible. It is mathematically impossible, scientifically and spiritually impossible. Whatever way you look at it, if you take upon the role of victim, you've created that for yourself, and that is what you will be. That is what others will see you as, the way they will treat you, and what you will believe to be true about yourself. If you accept this, if you acknowledge the fact that you are playing a victimhood role, stop presenting your issues as being outside yourself, stop trying to pretend that it is somebody else's fault, then you're in a position to be able to go forwards and to create everything you want to experience in life. First of all, you acknowledge that something is blocking your path, and then you accept it fully and completely. If you do not accept, it's one thing acknowledging the tree's there. If you don't accept it's there, then you will just continue forward upon your journey, having tried to delude yourself to the fact that it's there, and you will fall over or become stuck by it once again. Next week, we will discuss accreditation, ownership. Ownership is the third step. Once you accept and then acknowledge, you then take upon ownership of it, which interestingly then leads to the fourth step, which is separation of it. You acknowledge and own everything you've done in the past, everything you've experienced, knowing it is all part of your journey and there to actually benefit you in some way, whether you can see this or not. Then you separate attachment and ownership of it. You acknowledge it, you accept it, you own it, you do what is required to bring benefits to everybody involved within a situation of old and going forward for yourself and the collective. And then you separate from it, knowing that you are not your behaviours, you are not the programs you run in the past, that if you did not know any better, that you had no chance to make any other decision than the one you did, the one that was pre-programmed in you due to the situations, learnings and experiences you had growing up. But in truth, that they are all exactly what was required to bring you to this point now. If I did not go into darkness in the past, I would not have looked for an alternative way. I would not have looked inwards to discover that light. If it's okay, better the devil we know, right? The ego will keep you in a place of safety and security with things which it is familiar and feels safe and able to control. What the ego does not understand, it will defy in any means possible. If you wish to achieve something outside of yourself that is greater than a previous experience, the ego will bring up reasons why not to do this. It will play the poor me because it is one of the favourite roles for the ego to play. I would do, but giving away your power to somebody else means that you're not then responsible for the events which unfold due to having followed guidelines or rules. To live in completion at the will and creation of the self means that you're responsible for everything. I am responsible for everything in my life. I am guided by the heavens above, by Source, by the eternal aspect of self, by my higher self. I create everything in my life and therefore I hold responsibility over myself for everything in my life. It takes a very, very unique and special kind of person to get to this position, to know that I have caused people absolute heartache, and that there are people which still exist now that I love dearly that blame me for every shortcoming in their life. Everything positive is their creation. Everything negative is because of an event of old situations, of old experiences, and that it is all somebody else's fault, including quite often myself. I own this. I use it as information to fuel the continued expansion of self, to create the videos that I do, to gift to you the information required for you to liberate yourself in all ways. That's what it's all about. By inspiring you for a day, I empower you for a day. By teaching you how to inspire yourself, I empower you for life. I own everything. I'm not quite at a level yet where I can take ownership of the elements around me. But collectively, as we get to a point of awareness of our true potential, we will one day be able to collectively not only control the elements, but deliver energy, information, sustenance wherever it is required, not only around this earth, but around the universe itself. Everything is energy, vibrating at different frequencies. To be a true alchemist is to take that form of energy, to turn water into wine, to turn a loaf and a fish into hundreds or thousands, to spark that light within and free the collective consciousness of humanity. This is why we are here, my friends. This is who we are. This is our gift that we have been bestowed. So I'm sat outside, and it is very cloudy and it could rain. And one of my favourite terms is, if you don't accept and acknowledge that it is raining, then when you go outside you're only going to get wet. By accepting the fact that it is raining, you can do something about it. You can decide to alter or adjust your plans and actually do what you were going to do in another way or in another context, or you can take an umbrella. Either way, you are prepared. You're giving yourself the best opportunity to have the most joyful and expansive experience. Once upon a time, in what seems a land far away and a lifetime ago, in truth, one road over and only a few years back, I started cycling to the gym as opposed to driving. And when it would rain, I would get frustrated and pissed off at the fact that it was raining, that I was getting wet. I didn't want for it to rain. I didn't ask for it to rain. I'm getting wet. Fuck you, rain. Upon my awakening journey, I noticed, and it takes quite a while sometimes to notice these changes, to fully embody them, the fact that when it was raining, I literally was just in a state of bliss to be able to experience that rain upon my face. Thank you, rain. Thank you for existing. Thank you. I can't control the rain, but I can control the way I react to it. I can control the elements of it that I focus upon. You can't change the past, but you can change your connection to it, okay? Again, this is what I do with my clients in our one-on-one sessions. Everything within this series of videos is put in a very, very powerful, easy to use, understand and utilize course, 5 Steps to Freedom. It is housed on the greatestversion.club website, and I strongly urge and suggest that you go over there now, and if not, actually take that course, take the taster course, the pre-course to it, which is a anxiety freedom course. As well as that, there are other number of free and expensive courses to follow. How to raise your vibration, leading on to the energy mastery, leading on to the 7 weeks to enlightenment. There is a beautiful abundance, the truth law of attraction course, grounding into the power of now, the self-empowerment course, which is free, the raise your vibration one is free, and the anxiety freedom one is free. We have created and do everything we do for the liberation and continued expansion of the collective consciousness. This is what we're here for. This is who we are, and this is why. But in truth, I do all I do for one reason, and one reason alone. Because I can. And I can because I am. That's it. I am. I am physical. I am aware. I am conscious. I am able. Therefore, I do. I do because I can. And I can because I am. That's it. That's it. Think back to an event of old that you hold and carry with you today. The reason you hold and carry it with you, the reason it still weighs you down and limits your enjoyment or potential to experience and create in life, is because you have not fully accepted it. If somebody has wronged you and you tried to deny or to escape the wronging, then you are only preventing that, and what you prevent persists. If you accept the experience of old by looking for and finding the positives within it, then you liberate yourself and you stop the actual attachment to the person and event of old draining you, limiting you going forwards. You create it either way. You create the attachment and limitation or the freedom. So which life do you wish to create? So very simply and quickly, I'll take you on a short journey. Think back to the most significant event of old, the one which still weighs you down, limits you and affects your decisions in life, one that feels heavy. Yes, that one. And what I'd like for you to do is actually allow, as this journey takes place, as we're going to go on a short, very simple and powerful journey, could condense a session that I would have with a client into a 5 or 10 minute experience. And I know that you have a conscious mind, a doing mind, a thinking mind, an egoic mind. And I thank this element, this part of you, for everything that you do, for bringing protection and safety. And I know everything you do to bring that protection and safety. And if you have experienced an event of old that was traumatic, it makes sense to protect the being, the element of self, the entity that you are from that event. I know you have a conscious as well as a subconscious mind, and I am fully aware that the subconscious mind's highest and truest directive is to protect and serve the body. Once again, if an event of old was traumatic, if it brought with it a feeling of fear, then it makes sense to place that element, that event, in a box and to cast that box into the darkness of the mind. But I would like to now tell the subconscious mind with the clarity of conviction that if you do not deliver all information required about the event of old that you have placed and stored in the darkness, the one which still limits you and holds you down and weighs you back, the one which drains you, if you try to keep that information in the darkness, you will not be best protecting and serving the body. By allowing all the information required to come to the surface, by allowing all learnings to be integrated, you are best protecting and serving the body. You're allowing for that element, that part of yourself, to be integrated in completion back into the whole, and to actually let go of that event of old. To see the positives that were there within it that you were unable to see at that point in the past due to your perception of it and your attachment to it in that moment in the past. From this perspective now, from a higher perspective, with all the information you now have, knowing that that event has actually led you to where you are, and without that event you would not be the person you are, listening to this now, able to integrate back into yourself in completion all aspects of yourself now. I ask that that element of yourself that is the conscious egoic self remain seated and become the watcher, the observer. And for your subconscious mind, connected to your higher consciousness, your super consciousness with direct access to the Akashic records, to float up, to separate, to allow, to let go, and just to start to float up. Float way up. Travel, journey, soar, and ascend up, way up into the air. And from this higher perspective, I would like for you to bring to mind the first event, the very first event when you experienced the sense of being a victim. I'd like for you to allow the subconscious mind to bring up the first event when you decided you were a victim, and for you to be shown this, to see this with a clarity of vision, and to simply start to actually travel back to that event now, all the way back to that event, whenever it was, whether it was in this lifetime, a past lifetime, whether it was after your birth or before your birth, even within your mother's womb, or potentially passed down to you, if not from that previous lifetime, a previous lifetime, then maybe even genealogically, ancestrally. Just go back there now and take up position number 1 so that you're looking towards the past, down into the event. And when you get there, I would like for you to then simply go ahead and take up position number 2 so that you are directly above the event, looking down into the event and facing towards now. And from that perspective, from that higher perspective, being able to see from that bird's eye view everything that was taking place, with an understanding of why you then felt victimized, but being able to see the complete and true picture, I would like for you to ask your unconscious, your subconscious mind, what it is it needs to learn from this event, the learnings of which will allow you to let go of the feeling of the disattachment to who you are, to remember who you are, to reattach to who you are, to reconnect to the truth of who you are, to re-emerge from the darkness into the light. In completion, I'd like to ask your unconscious, your subconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learnings of which will allow you to let go of the feeling of being a victim easily and effortlessly. Your subconscious mind can and will preserve these learnings so that they are there should you need them in the future. What learnings does your subconscious mind require? Knowing that you are actually never or have ever been a victim, that you are the reversal of this in completion, that you are loved in all ways. I'd like for you to allow the subconscious mind to bring up any and all learnings required, doing so in an I am context, as the subconscious mind can best understand and utilize I am. I am free. I am a creator. I am aware. I am acceptance. I am forgiveness. I am liberation. I am united. I am eternal. I am love. I am divine. I am loved. I am success. I am joy. I am divine. There's actually a few more steps and a lot more depth required to fully integrate the truth of who you are and liberate yourself from any and all past traumatic experiences, negative beliefs, or emotions that you do not desire to embody. Anger is beneficial if used and directed in the right way. It is beneficial to actually allow that anger to be channeled as fuel for the fire. If you try to repress it, then it will only cause conflict within. So just go ahead and start to travel back to now with all that information, and go ahead and actually integrate it in completion. If you would like to complete this journey with all of the steps involved and required to bring that inner completion and integration back into the self, then simply reach out, connect, and we will make it so. You are a being of unlimited potential in all ways. I know this to be true, and I believe in you, even if you don't. I didn't used to believe in myself. I had condemned myself to a life of misery, of darkness, of emptiness. Emptiness is the most prominent word. And now I embody the entire universe. All of the energy, all of the passion, knowledge, wisdom, love, it is all within me. It is all part of me, as it is all part of you. Acknowledge past events and accept them. Only then can we move to the next step of accreditation, of ownership, to then move on to actually allow for those events of old to flow by, just like the clouds. If you have a positive thought, you accept it. If there is a beautiful, wispy and angelic cloud, you accept it. If you have a negative thought, especially once you start upon your journey of self-improvement and bettership, if you have a negative thought, quite often you then condemn yourself for it. Just as you condemn the dark and stormy clouds. Why? It's just a thought. It's just a cloud. It's going to flow by. It's going to flow by. We know this. We know that the sun is always shining. We know we will see it again. We know that a thought is just a thought. It does not confine you. It does not defy you. It does not limit you in any way unless you decide and actually implement it. So, to confine yourself to the darkness because you've had a dark thought, you are placing yourself in that place, in that position. You are taking upon that role once again, to ensure that you remain in a state of liberation, of creatorship at all times. Okay, I've had that thought. Doesn't mean anything. It's there to actually learn from. Accept, acknowledge the thought's there, accept you've had it, own it by actually looking for any positives that you can take from it, anywhere you can learn and grow from it, and then allow it to flow through, disattach from it. A gift. It's an absolutely amazing and truly wonderful gift, this life. And if you are at any point separated from this truth, then that is what I am here to do, to remind you of who you are. Once again, please subscribe to the channel, support the cause in whatever way you feel guided to do so. Head over to any of your favourite social podcasting hosting stations or platforms and listen to and download Midday Mindfulness. Midday Mindfulness is a very beautiful and powerful podcast that we actually interview and house very, very uniquely special and talented guests upon. There is obviously the Cosmic Surfer YouTube channel and the Mainstream Meditation channel, so please ensure that you subscribe to both of those and head over to greatestversion.club to utilize not only all the free courses there, but all the more expensive ones for those of you that are dedicated to yourself in completion, that have got to a point where you know yourself to be worthy to invest that small amount in, to then actually utilize and embody those massive, impactful changes that the courses will bring you. I've created my dream life. I've liberated and freed myself, and it is my honor to be able to do this for you. Thank you, as always. If you have not yet done so, please go back and watch each episode leading up to this one. This is episode number 4 of Modern Day Mindfulness. And next week we will discuss accreditation, ownership, and the next step within the 5 steps to freedom. Obviously, this is a new series, as I've said before, and it is every Tuesday. Every Thursday there is an episode, again on Cosmic Surfer, of United We Stand. And Saturdays is the Together We Rise, the more in-depth and spiritual based series. Thank you for who you are and for everything that you continue to do. Reach out and connect if you have any questions, and actually any topic of conversation that I can cover in whatever topic, in whatever means, in whatever avenue, please let me know and I will make it so. I love you, and until next time, namaste.